Hi, in this video I'm going to go over game 1 from prep test 36. Can't believe I haven't done a video for this one yet. Maybe I have, and I just wasn't able to find it when I searched. Okay, let's get into it. So a fruit stand carries at least one kind of the following kinds of fruit. So we have a minimum of 1 in, which means we have a maximum of 5 out because we have 6 total. Okay. So we've got figs, kiwis, oranges, pears, tangerines, and watermelons are 6 kinds of fruit. The stand doesn't carry any other kinds of fruit, and the selection is consistent with the following conditions. Rule 1, if kiwis, then no pears. If pears, then no kiwis are contrapositive. Rule 2, if we don't have tangerines, then we do have kiwis, and if we don't have kiwis, then we do have tangerines. Rule 3, if we have oranges, then we have both pears and watermelons as well. Okay. So if we're missing pears or we're missing watermelons, then no oranges. Rule 4, if the stand carries watermelons, then it carries figs or tangerines or both. I'm not going to bother writing or both because that's just redundant. We're going to think of or as inclusive unless it's stated otherwise. So the contrapositive would be if we have neither figs nor tangerines, which is an and. Okay, so not figs and not tangerines is the same as saying neither figs nor tangerines. Then no watermelons. Okay, let's create a little chain here. Let's just start with the first rule and see how we can link things up. Do the contrapositive at the same time. Okay, so K, if we don't have T, then we're going to have K, and if we don't have K, we're going to have T. Let's see, O to P, so if we have O, we're going to have P. We are also going to have W. Okay. And we could have figs, right? So if we have W, we have figs or tangerines. We're going to have tangerines if we have oranges, but we definitely have to have, yeah, so minimum 1 of figs and tangerines, right? That's the same as saying figs or tangerines. So yeah, if we just started here, we would know, yeah, minimum 1. If we start with oranges, we know that requirement is already met by tangerines, and then figs could be added on, but they don't have to be. Back to our original here. If we don't have P, then we don't have O. And if we don't have T, we don't have W. And then figs, once again, yeah, we can kind of take them or leave them, right? So figs just appear in that last rule. So yeah, there isn't really anything to add there. We do know that if we don't have W, that we don't have oranges, and we know that if we don't have figs and we don't have tangerines, then we don't have W, right? So we actually have to know both of those pieces of information to get to know W. So, I mean, this one, making a chain, I don't know that I find it that helpful, to be honest. I think it could be more confusing than helpful at this point, and it would be better just to look at your triggers. So this, we need both of those pieces of information to trigger that rule, whereas the contrapositive here, either one of those pieces of information would be enough to trigger it. That's kind of important to keep in mind. All right, let's just get into the questions. Question 1, we can do process of elimination with this one, finding the rule breakers. So if we see K, we shouldn't also see P. So if we see K and P together, that's out. So E breaks rule 1. We need to see one of these two, right? So we can't have both of them out. So K and T, at least one of them has to be in. So C breaks that rule. If O is in, then P and W both have to be in. So D is out. Breaks rule 3. If we see W, we see F or T, or we could have both. I can just add that in for good measure. If that helps, let me know if that's helpful or confusing. And then what do we have left? We have A and B left. Yeah, okay, so neither of those have W in, but let's take a look at them. If we have O and P in, then F, K, T, and W, we can infer that they're saying that those are out for A. And for B, P and T in, we can infer that they're saying that F, K, O, and W are out. So if O is in, then we should see P and W. So A also breaks rule 3. A and D both break rule 3. B is the correct answer, and we can keep it for our bank of acceptable solutions. Question 2. Which one of the following could be the only kind of fruit the stand carries? We need to have at least one of these two kinds. So it's got to be either K or T, D, K, or sorry, T, tangerines. T is there. K isn't on the list, but it would also be an acceptable answer to that question if it were there. But obviously we can't have both of them because there's only one correct answer to each question. Question 3. Which one of the following cannot be a complete and accurate list of the kinds of fruit the stand carries? So this is something that cannot be true, must be false. All of the wrong answers are things that are possible. So we can go through and test them, and anyone that is possible, we eliminate that answer choice and we keep the acceptable solution. So A, we've got K and T together. K pushes P out. So we've done that rule. All of these guys being out, P would push O out anyways. Having W out doesn't cause problems. And then the only player left is F. Not an issue with F being out. This is an acceptable solution, which means A is not the correct answer for question 3. Okay, we're looking for something that cannot be true. T and W in together. So is that going to work? We've got P and K both out, which isn't a problem for that rule. K out, T is in, not a problem for that rule. W being in doesn't force O to be in, so there's no problem there. W being in, just we have to have either F or T, which we do, so we can have O out, and what am I missing? F can be out as well, and that's not an issue. So we'd have to have F and T both out to push W out. So B is possible, therefore not the correct answer to question 3. C, F, K, and W together. F, K, W. So that rule is followed. This rule doesn't apply. We have followed rule 2, and we have followed rule 1. So we're following all the rules. Who's out? O, P, and T. And C is not the correct answer. D, oranges, pears, tangerines, and watermelons. O, P, T, W. P, no K, follows rule 1. No K, so we have T, follows rule 2. We have O, so we're supposed to have P and W, follows rule 3. We have W, so we have to have at least one of these guys. We don't have to have both of them, so that's totally fine. So E's got to be the correct answer. What's wrong with E? Figs, kiwis, oranges, pears, and watermelons, and then the only one out is tangerines. So we have K and P together. So it really just breaks rule 1. So yeah, I mean, usually it's not that simple. Usually you're going to need to do all this work, so it's worth doing it for the practice. But yeah, it's really as simple as at least one of these guys has to be out. All right, moving on to question 4. If the stand carries no watermelons, which one of the following must be true? So no watermelons leads to no oranges. And then, yeah, that's all we know for sure. So I'm going to write it out up here. So this is in and out. Okay, so we have no watermelons, no oranges. We know that we have to have K or T in for sure, and P or K out for sure. Yeah, that's about it. So what must be true? Does the stand have to carry kiwis? No. The stand carries at least 2 kinds of fruit. I don't think it has to. I think it could just carry 1. So let's test that out. So let's say it just carries tangerines. Okay, and then we have W out, O is out, P and K are both out, and F is out. So there's no issue with that. At most 3 kinds of fruit, absolutely, because we have to have at least 3 out. Okay, so C is the correct answer for question 4. Question 5, if the stand carries watermelon, okay, then we have to have F or T for sure, so I would just show both of those options. So WF, there's nothing that has to happen. WT, there's also nothing that has to happen. I suppose in this one, you have to add either K or T as well. But really, yeah, nothing major there. Let's see. What must be false? So it doesn't carry figs. Ooh, we're doing a double negative here. So if it must be false that it doesn't carry figs, that means that it has to carry figs. But I don't see anything wrong with it not carrying figs, right? So if the stand has watermelons, we have an example here, the stand having watermelons, and we have another one here. It's allowed to not have figs, right? So that could be true, so we can eliminate that. If it carries watermelons, it doesn't carry tangerines, that's also possible. If it carries watermelons and doesn't carry pears, that's totally fine. So A, B, and C are all out because we do have acceptable solutions that show watermelon and not having figs, tangerines, pears, right? Figs, tangerines, pears, are missing both of those. Can the stand carry pears but not oranges if it has watermelon? It has watermelon. Can it carry pears but not oranges? Don't see anything wrong with that here. Pears but not tangerines, that's just never possible. If you have pears, you don't have kiwis, and if you don't have kiwis, you have to have tangerines. Okay, so E, not going to work, which is why it's the correct answer, because it must be false. And that has to be false regardless of whether the stand carries watermelons or not. We can't have pears without tangerines. So 5, the correct answer is E. All right, last question. If the condition that if the fruit stand does not carry tangerines, then it does carry kiwis is suspended. So we are suspending Rule 2. All the other conditions remain in effect. Then which one of the following cannot be a complete and accurate list of the kinds of fruit the stand carries? Just pears. Really, do not see anything wrong with that. We would have K out for sure, and then nothing else would be triggered that wouldn't also be fulfilled, right? So P or W being out just puts O out. They would all be out. F and T being out, put W out. I mean, they would all be out, right? So in a scenario where pears is a complete and accurate list of the kinds of fruit the stand carries, then all the other players would be out. And there's really no issue with that. Rule 2 was the rule that said that we have to have at least one of K and T in, but that rule is now suspended, so we don't have to worry about that. Figs and pears both in. Again, we're not going to run into any problems with that. Oranges, pears, and watermelons. That's going to be a problem because if we have watermelons, that's going to trigger Rule 4, which says we have to have F or T or both, and C has neither. So C would be the correct answer here. That cannot be a complete and accurate list. Okay, so question 6 is C. If you have any follow-up questions for this, please let me know in the comments.